Get it in which part of the US?
Yeah, so welcome, Anirban. Yeah, we're live. I'm actually in Nevada, northern Nevada, in Reno.
Okay,
And how about you?
okay.
You're in Australia, right?
I'm in Australia. I'm in Melbourne, but I've been to Las Vegas. So
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I
Uh,
yeah, I lived and worked in the US for about 5 years. So yeah, I've
And
been.
where did you live when you were in the US?
So I was actually there for about, as I said, for 5 years, almost in three different cities. I started in a city called Charlotte in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was in San Francisco, and then I was in Dallas, in Texas.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good mix, right? And what were your thoughts of the US overall?
Oh, it was very nice. It was very nice. And those days, like I'm talking about 2000, from 2006 to 2010. And because I was a bachelor, and then I just got married, and with me and my wife, it was nice because we used to go to road trips and we went to places like, as I said, Las Vegas, and then
Mm-hmm.
we went to Yellowstone. Also, when we were in Dallas, we went to San Antonio. Beautiful, beautiful, lovely. We had so many good friends up there, and of all things, I still miss one thing, that is IHOP, which is the International
Oh,
House
really?
of Pancakes. I
Okay.
just miss.
It's
So yeah,
not
it
in
was it was
Australia, huh? IHOP's not in Australia.
Yeah, I have in Australia. They have a similar kind of a business here. They call it pancake parlor, but nothing compared to that. So, and I used to work in retail, so retail technology. So I used to
Mm-hmm.
love getting into all these beautiful stores. Like when I was in San Francisco, I used to live very close to the Union Square and Gary Boulevard, and they have this huge store of Macy's, and then on top of that, they used to have the Cheesecake Factory. So it
Mm-hmm.
was lovely. It was lovely. So
Very
really,
nice. Well,
really
yeah.
good. I mean, I really miss all those things. And the also the gun violence was a bit less at that time. I can see now it's kind of like, I think it has gone up a bit now.
Yeah, you know, definitely different than Australia. I'll probably say that. But maybe we can shift to what you're doing now, and we can go into Meet My Coach. So I'll give you the floor, and you can let me and the audience know what it is you're trying to do with your startup.
Sure, sure. So basically, I'm an accidental, quite a bit of an accidental entrepreneur. So what actually happened was, Meet My Coach kind of like started pretty accidentally. So I've been living outside India for the last almost 15 years. I've been in the US for about close to 5 years, and then now in Australia for about 10 years, because I moved to
Mm-hmm.
Australia because there was another accident because of the global financial crisis. I used to work
Mm-hmm.
for a technology company called Cognizant Technology Solutions, and they kind of like they asked me to go to Australia in 2009, around 2009, 2010, for about a year, because things were not that good in the US at that time. And they said, let's hang around there. We have a project there, hang around there for about a year or so, and then come back. So that coming back never happened, because what happened is, actually, when I went in there, the project went on for a longer time, and then my kid was small. He was like was about 6 months old. So we just decided to kind of finally settle down in one place, because we have been traveling quite a lot, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how I actually started living in Australia. Now, one of the things what happens is, obviously, I'm originally from India, and like so many overseas Indians you see in the US, like we have our friends and family in India, and we generally go back at least once or twice every once a year, or maybe every one time every 2 years, and all that. So flying from Australia is actually closer, because it's closer to India. So what
Yeah.
generally happens is, and we go and meet our friends and family. So in one of these occasions, basically, when I went back, and obviously with my family, um, in our home we have a portrait of or picture of the great poet Rabindranath Tagore. So Tagore is kind of like he's an icon in India. Why? Because he was the first Asian and the Indian to win the Nobel laureate, to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. He's also kind of like a person who has written national anthem for three countries, not just one. And also, he has written a lot of poems, dramas, stories, songs, and all that. So he's quite a bit of a revered figure in Calcutta as well. Now, interestingly, my son saw that portrait, and he's like a bearded person, very much like Leo Tolstoy. If you see Leo Tolstoy's photo and you see Rabindranath Tagore's photo, they're very similar, kind of
Yeah.
like George, like kind of like W.G. Grace, like big bearded. So my son was in primary school at that time. He just looked at the photo and he said, "Who's this dude? And why do we have this dude's photo here? He's not part of our family." So I told him, like, he's a very interesting dude because he's written the three national anthems and he's a Nobel laureate and he's a very respected figure. So he said, "Oh, that's interesting." Because then, when later on, I just kept thinking about it, that how come my son didn't know about it? Well, it's very simple, because nobody told him about it. Because when he's studying in Australia or he's studying in the US in primary schools, he's mostly focused on learning English, learning Western culture, Western civilization, Western history, which is fine, which is very nice about it. There's nothing
Hmm.
wrong in that. But what about our culture, which is basically, we come from Asians, usually have 5,000-year-old cultures. So what about our languages, music, and all that? For kids like ours, they're not in India, and they're not able to study that. And that is where, kind of like, I started thinking that maybe it's a problem for me. But when I started reaching out to my friends in the US, Canada, or UK, and I asked them that, this is, so I've got a big network of alumni because of my engineering college, because of my MBA, and I also did my entrepreneurship course in Harvard Business School, so that Harvard alumni is there. So I generally ask them that, is it a problem only for me? Maybe in Melbourne it's a problem. Maybe in the US it's not, because the US is a bigger country. But I was very
Hmm.
surprised when a lot of these parents, they came back and friends, they say, no, it's a problem. Because, for example, in Canada, kids kind of like, it's very cold, like around minus 14 or minus 15 degrees Celsius in Toronto. Uh, they are not able to even go to some of these local cultural schools to learn. And
Yeah.
that actually struck me, that looks like there's a gap here. So why not create a platform for overseas Asians, Indians, or immigrants, which would allow the parents of the kids to go and find good qualified teachers for these subjects, which are not taught in local schools, and their kids are able to learn it at an optimal price, and they're able to learn their roots and even get certifications. So
Mm.
when I created this, I started with just one subject, and that is languages. So, for example, my mother tongue, which is Bengali, which I just told you that I really liked it with the way you pronounce my name. Similarly,
Yeah.
some of the other Indian languages, like say Hindi or South Indian languages, there's a huge community of Southern Indians in the US. So for their children, and that's how it all started. So, kind of like, from there till today, it has been a fantastic and a very interesting journey, because in 1 year, which started as one subject, we now have 45 different subjects. And all of this due to the request of the parents, because they slowly started coming and they slowly started telling me that, if you're teaching languages, can you teach music? Can you teach
Hmm.
fine arts? Can you teach dance? And then, can you teach also, like, my son is a bit weak in maths. I don't want to go to two different platforms to learn maths and learn music. Would you be able to help me with that? So now we have a category of we have 45 subjects in three different categories. Category one, which is non-academics, which is primarily learning your roots and culture, which is music, dance, languages, arts, craft. The second category is pure academics, which is math, science, computer studies,
Hmm.
robotics, so on and so forth. And then the last one is hobbies, which is kind of related to chess, or you're doing Rubik's Cube and stuff like that. What started with one teacher, now we have 3,000 teachers from 10 different countries.
Hmm.
And we have almost close to 400 plus paid customers with an average ticket size of $400. So we kind of like started, and it all started with me. Now I have a team of around 12 to 13 people. My co-founder is based in India, and the remaining team, which is a sales team and a development team there in India, it's all bootstrapped. And yeah, I mean, like slowly, I'm actually taking baby steps, and I'm growing it even better because our focus has been mainly in the US, but now we are looking at markets in Canada, UK, even in Australia and the Middle East
Hmm.
as well. So that's the story of Meet My Coach, and that's how it all started. And basically, it's growing. So
Yeah.
my ultimate goal is to make Meet My Coach the universal coaching platform, which means essentially whatever skill I want to learn, I would be able to learn in Meet My Coach. So, for example, this particular conversation that we are having, which is a podcast, if
Hmm.
somebody wants to learn about podcasting, how to do podcasting, then they would be able to find a qualified coach or teacher, maybe like you, and they would be able to connect and do live sessions and learn
Yeah.
podcasting. So that's what my ultimate aim is, to learn anything, whether it is Ikebana, whether it is gardening, whether it is higher mathematics, learn it at an optimal price, value for money, and obviously get some certification at the end of it. That's been the overall goal, and kind of
Hmm.
like I'm taking baby steps towards that.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great story, and definitely gives me a lot of context. And so I'm curious how you're acquiring customers now. Is it mainly growing through word of mouth, or you mentioned you had a sales team?
So there is a sales team, but we generally have, because it's bootstrapped, so I don't have enough, a lot of money to burn, to cash burn, and do kind of
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
marketing campaigns with maybe stars like Rihanna and all that. We don't have that. We simply don't have the money.
Yeah.
So what we do is kind of like there are two or three things that I do. One thing is, as I said, that it's kind of organic, word of mouth. So I am in constant touch. So I have a relationship manager and myself. We are in constant touch with parents. We always engage them, and we always try to understand. And me being a father of a 13-year old, um, essentially I connect with them. I tell them that, look, it's more or less the challenges are similar. The kids are similar of that age. And basically I understand their challenges and their pain. So that's one thing which we do. And then we say that, okay, so in Meet My Coach, we don't sell stuff like, this is, say, ABCD classes or Pioneer classes where we are selling math, science. You can come and study, or we can take a course in online. There are a lot of such portals. What we say is very simple. We tell the parents, what are you looking for?
Hmm.
What do you want your greatest asset to be? Do you want her your daughter to be Sunita Williams, like an astronaut? Well, then she needs to study computers and maths and STEM subjects. Do you want your daughter to be a ballerina? Then she needs to dance. You tell us what you are looking for, and we will provide you the qualified coaches in that. Because in Meet My Coach, once you come in, you kind of like you are in a universe of different subjects, and basically you don't need to go to some other platform. That's the first thing. So that actually has helped. I mean, you won't believe it, out of the 400 plus customers we have, we had a churn of only 9 customers so far in
Hmm.
1 year. Only 9 people have left our platform, largely because of, not because of they're not satisfied with the teacher or the platform, but because they have been traveling themselves. So they have been migrating from the US to, say, UK or France or Europe, and it's a matter of time where they said that, we're going to come back to you when we settle down. So
Yeah.
that's kind of one is through organic, which is basically through reference. The other one is, what I do is, we have these communities in the US, which is kind of like Indian communities. So when they're having a festival, for example, in Diwali they are having a festival, then I reach out to them and I say that, is it possible I can become a sponsor? Because these small communities, they really want sponsors who can actually come and pay. So I did one sponsorship with a Hindu community in Princeton. They have about, say, 200, 300 families. And we actually promoted there that this is how we're doing it. And from there, we get leads, say, out of 200 people. Even if 50 people are coming in, out of that 50 people, 25 people are telling us, that's 25 customers for us. So
Yeah.
this kind of like has been bit of that's the other thing. And then we are making some small changes or SEO changes within the website technically, so that the overall performance of the web app or the website is good, so that people come, they're satisfied, and then they can tell other people as well. So that's kind of like been the journey so far. But obviously now it's a time where I'm looking at investors to get some seed funding, so that the next level of growth, where we do a bit of marketing, where we do a bit of promotions, and how we do that, that's something which we are planning to. The very
Hmm.
interesting thing, what has happened is also because of the feedback, I'm now starting this month, I'm actually launching a generative AI tool as well. And that is called monk.ai. But yeah, we'll come to that later. So that's basically
Okay.
based out of the feedback of customers. So to answer your question, to summarize, yes, it's mainly organic, but we do have targeted promotions.
Got it. And then can you just walk me kind of through what the customer experience is? Because I'm actually looking at your website right now. Is it desktop only? Is there an app? And then to just kind of expand on that, how does it work? Like, I find a coach that I'm interested in, I
So there
pay the
are,
fee, and
hmm.
then I receive like a Zoom link. We join for a predetermined set of time, and they teach me whatever their expertise is, and then it's an ongoing relationship.
So that's a good question. So there are a number of ways. So basically, what has happened is, and we are still kind of like we are still evolving. So we only have the mobile app. I mean, sorry, the web app right now. We don't have the mobile app. Because honestly speaking, when I've been bootstrapping, I don't have so many
Hmm.
funds to have kind of like both apps. So in the website, basically, what one can do is very simple. One can actually look into the profile of the coaches, and they can actually reach out. There's a message where a message button where they can say hello to that particular coach. So what happens is there are two messages which simultaneously, one goes to our team, one goes to the coach. And if the coach has not seen it, our team will definitely see it, because we have a pre-sales customer management team, which is kind of like always watching the platform. And then
Hmm.
we reach out to the customer and we try to understand what exactly they're looking for. Because in many cases, they kind of like, they're not very clear as to, they might say that, yeah, I'm looking for a dance teacher. So they would say that, okay, what kind of dance are you looking at? What's the age of the child? And does he or she have they done some kind of training before, or they're very novice, they're beginners? Based on that, what we do is we kind of like basically uh, have a demo session where we arrange for a particular coach at that level. And at the end of the demo session, we reach out to the customer and we ask them that, what do you feel? Especially the parent. The main focus is with the parent. That's
Hmm.
one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is, obviously, there is a, I want to do a demo, book demo button. Straight away, you can hit that book demo button, give all your details. This is what I'm looking for. And then it will automatically come to the sales team as a lead. The sales team will reach out to the parent. Now, once the
Got it.
parent has come on board, then they can register. Once they register, then they would be able to enter into a dashboard. That particular dashboard is going to be a single place where they would be able to see, as a student, or basically as a coach. So as a student, the student would be able to see certain notifications, like for example, when is the next class coming up, where there's a scheduler, there would be a calendar scheduler, where the scheduler will tell them that, okay, for the next week, these are some of the classes which they have. It will also show them the history of the classes, the number of classes they already had. If they have missed, for example, there was a one of the things that happens is kids fall sick, so the class had to be postponed. So that is kind of like shown very clearly in the dashboard or in the scheduler of the particular student. There
Hmm.
is a parent portal as well, where the parent can actually log in, and that is something which the our system admin gives them. And the parent can actually track everything, so they can track the number of classes that the student, kind of like their kid, went through. What is the overall performance of the child? So basically, it is the responsibility of the teacher to, at the end of say a week's class, to see, to basically give them and grade them, that they're doing, for example, within mathematics, they're doing very well in algebra, but they are still weak in geometry. Or for example, in languages, they're weak in grammar, but they're improving in spelling. So that basically in a graph, the parent at any given point in time through a parent portal, they would be able to know. So these are some of the things, and we are bringing in a few other things which are kind of like uh, tools in which are found in learning management system. So it is not just a portal where you find the coach, but you're able to basically manage all your learning tasks. And
Hmm.
the other thing which you can do is sharing notes. So basically, what happens is if I'm a teacher and I would love my students to get hold of my notes, and it need not be that he or she is my student. There can be other students. I can actually go in and upload the notes for any subject. And if I am a basically what typically what happens is I've seen mostly when we were in school, and even kids now at high school, they make a lot of notes through textbooks. And those
Hmm.
notes then after that when they pass the exam, those notes kind of like they don't know what to do with it. So one of the things in Meet My Coach is you can register and you can upload those notes as well. And then later on, other students can go in and check for that particular subject if there are some good notes, then they can download and share it. So that's the first step, basically, towards collaborative learning. And then, in terms of visual contact, for example, right now we are talking to each other.
Hmm.
Meet My Coach has a number of options. So you can use Zoom, you can use Google Meet, you can also use our own live one-to-one sessions, which we have built in within the platform. So it's entirely up to the parent. If the parent is comfortable in our own one-to-one communications platform tool, they can use that. Some parents feel that no, we have been using Zoom, we like that, we want to go with Zoom. Absolutely okay, fine, you can come with Zoom. So these are some of the flexibilities and some of the things that are there. And going forward, we're going to make it even more rich, and we're going to make it even more kind of like nice. And a lot of other tools and a lot of other features slowly are going to come in.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. And then if I'm understanding correctly, the way that you monetize is it, or the parent, for example, finds a coach and they pay whatever the coach is charging. Are you able to clarify that? Is it like for an amount of time, or how does the pricing work?
So the monetization is based on a commission model, and our average prices we have was kind of like an average price which is very low, very kind of like value for money, which is somewhere around say $12 an hour, $12 to $15 an hour. Now, generally, what happens is pricing comes much later. The first thing is basically to understand your needs, try to do the matching, and basically talk to the particular parent, get the demo class. And once the demonstration class is done, that's where the pricing negotiation comes in, which is kind of like very flexible because we would let the parent know and parent basically feel comfortable in terms of how many classes that are going to happen. Now, what our sales team does is they kind of like recommend that look, if he or she is very good in some subjects, maybe he or she may not need a lot of classes. But usually, what we do is usually we say that please, for any subject, you stay with us for at least 3 months, because
Mm.
then you are able to measure, you're able to engage, you're able to know exactly where you are. If you do a particular subject for just 1 month and then say that I don't like it, well, we can obviously go and change, and if you like any other subject, we can take that. But generally, 3 months is a good place. So then, accordingly, what happens is those 3 months we have a package, and we say that okay, so you're going to pay say about $12 an hour for one class. There are about four classes in a month, which is 48, and 48 into three. So three, it's a 24, and 134, roughly around that $134. So you pay us. So once we get
Hmm.
the payment, basically at the end of the month we pay it to the teacher. So we take around roughly around 30 to 40%, 60% goes to the teacher. And then
Got
that's
it.
how the pricing model works. With the AI tool that I've been talking about, it's going to be a bit different. It's going to be a subscription model.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and we can get. I think we get to the AI tool in a bit, but I'm just thinking through this right. And you mentioned earlier that you want to be the coaching platform for any subject. So how do you foresee this scaling? And I go back to you're talking about how you have kind of a concierge model or an intermediary with your sales team now. I mean, do you foresee that going away in the future and having maybe more of a robust platform that matches you more easily,
I
or
think
is searchable? Yeah.
I
Any
think we're going
thoughts?
to have it in a way that the way we're going to have it, we're going to have both. It's going to be a hybrid model. So one of the things is obviously we would allow coaches and customers to kind of like go in and have a look at what they are looking for. But definitely there's going to be a human element, because in most cases we would like to know, because we kind of like, it's learning is mostly human with non-human tools, so that they're tools to learn, but we would like to maintain the human interaction and the human connection. So we would love to talk to parents, and different geographies, there are different needs, and we are amazed at the different kinds of needs and parents have it. So that's going to be there. Now, how do we move into it? Well, basically, for example, right now we are focused on, as I said, on K-12 segment, but we are already getting a lot of requests from parents as well, that they want to learn. For example, if their kids are learning computer studies, they are very interested, they would also like to learn some computer programming. So the segment is shifting, and we are slowly getting into those segments. We never say no to anyone. We say, yeah, okay, we're going to do that. So
Hmm.
gradually, what we're seeing is, from subjects to skill based learning, a lot of skill based learning requests are coming to us. So we would like to move into that. Then we would like to move into something like mental health. You won't believe it. There are people who are actually coming and telling us that, would you be able to do that, where we can talk to some of the mental health coaches. And then business coaching, B2B. So those are the things slowly we're going to move into. It's kind of like a line extension, gradually moving into different sites. And because we are a coach, we would love people to come to the platform, and if we'd be very happy if we can provide qualified coaches for that. One of the things in Meet
Hmm.
My Coach also is that if we don't have, we are very honest, and we say, sorry, we don't have that kind of skill set, or we don't have that coach. It's not just the salesperson needs to close the sale, so they'll say, yeah, we have that, and go and find somebody. Nothing like that. We actually tell them that, look, that for example, we have got people coming and telling us that, do you teach program management, project management? So we'll tell them that not at this stage, but we will note it down. Once we have good coaches for program management, industrial management, we will get back to you, definitely.
Yeah.
So which
Okay.
means that there is a market, there is an opportunity, and yeah, we're slowly going to step by step have it. Obviously, the main thing out here is, we have a, as a bootstrapped organization, I have a limitation. So definitely the first thing is, I also need a bit of funding to kind of like get those right people, and then focus on that.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's interesting. And so what is your runway in terms of truly scaling and expanding markets? Are you looking very far out into the future, or do you have ambitious growth goals over the next few years?
Yeah. So basically, in the next 2 years, the strategy is very simple. It's 248. Two means two apps: mobile app, web app. Along with that, we have the AI product. Four is four geographies, which is US, Canada, UK, and the Middle East. And
Hmm.
eight is primarily for eight subjects. So basically, what happens is, of all the subjects that we teach, we have the data of which are the most popular non-academic and academic subjects. So basically, four from academic and four from non-academic. So that's going to be our main focus, where we really focus on those subjects, and get more sales through that. Obviously, other subjects are there. So that's 248, kind of like a strategy for the next 2 years at least.
Okay. No, I think that's super helpful. Maybe we can pivot to the AI tool. I know you brought it up a few times. If you can maybe just tell a little bit more about what that will do and what that'll be like.
Okay, so yeah, so that's a very interesting thing. Actually, what happens is, when I talk to customers, when I talk to parents, one of the things that they keep telling me is, you know what, look, this your platform is nice, and the kids are enjoying, they're loving the classes. It's one to one, nice classes once a week. But because they are busy, and they're working parents, especially immigrants anywhere in the world, they work very hard, because they really
Hmm.
want to establish in that country. So generally, what happens is, I can feel that, because I know how it feels when you're an immigrant parent. So basically, what happens is, they say that, our child is, say, obviously he has to do his homework, his assignments, and all that. But in most cases, we are not able to help. So, is there a way where you guys can actually help them in those assignments and work and then all that? That would be very helpful because most of the time we are busy and they have to wait with their doubts for once a week class when the class would happen. And this
Hmm.
is true even for some parents who are not in MeetMy.Coach. They probably go to some local coaching center as an offline, but for them it is still the problem. And then there are kids, obviously, there are parents who can't afford because education costs, especially in Australia, they've gone up like anything, especially after the pandemic. So many kids and many parents are there who can't afford it. Basically, they can't afford a coaching or a kind of like an online courses. So what do they do? So I actually thought about it, and then because of a lot of AI things happening, I've created this tool which I'm just starting to launch. It's called Monk, MONC.ai.
Hmm.
I wanted to make it MONK, Monk, which is somebody
Yeah.
who gives you advice. But unfortunately, I found that Monk has been taken up by Toyota. So I went with MONC.ai. So what does
Okay.
Monk do? Monk actually helps you in generative AI for three subjects right now: storytelling, essay writing, and basically maths. So once you give a particular so you go out there, you register, and then when you are actually giving a particular maths problem or you want to write an essay, you give the topics. So basically, it will come up with a essay topic. It's very similar because what we are trying to do, we are trying to utilize ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo as well as Google Bard, and our
Hmm.
algorithms are trying to select the best option and give it to the customer. But where we come in a value addition is one, it is all related to academics. Two, what happens is there are a number of other things that we are doing. For example, you are able to translate a particular, say, a particular essay you've written in your own mother tongue, say in Mandarin, and you would like to translate that in English because there are a lot of foreign students who are not very good in English, especially in India or say in China or somewhere, and they would love help with that. Grammatical errors and all those things are taken into account. So, and then you're able to basically email it, you're able to download it, or whatever you want to do with that. So, it's kind of like a help for subjects which will tell you how to do it, and then you can understand. Say, I have an assignment today, and I have to submit it tomorrow with 10 problems. I'm able to do 7 problems. I'm not able to do three, and there's nobody at home, or I can't
Yeah.
reach to my dad and mom and say that, can you help me with this? So what do I do? So Monk can actually help you on that, and then let you understand that this is how one can do it. What I'm slowly doing it is, this particular product is actually very inspired by a product called Khanmigo. So in the US, Khan Academy is very famous, and they have
Yeah.
launched a very similar product called Khanmigo, where they have do a lot of interactive. And I love that kind of tool, and I said that where we can do a very similar one like that, and also in the sense that we would also have a teacher module. We have a student module now. We would also have a teacher module so that even teachers can actually use it, and they're able to come up with, for example, they might ask Monk that, give us an idea of a test that I'm going to conduct. What are the kind of questions that I should conduct for a particular subject? And Monk would be able to tell you that, okay, these are the ones that you're going to do.
Hmm.
So in the market right now in the US, there's similar products. Is mainly Khanmigo, and there's a product called Cactus. Monk is similar to that, but the thing where it differs is Monk also will focus on a lot of non-academics, so about music, arts, and those things, which we are currently working on. Because I have a very small team, so we're slowly kind of like building that. So
Hmm.
that's Monk,
And I'm
and
just
that's going to
curious.
be a subscription.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so are you cross selling to your other customers, to those parents? You say, hey, we also offer this, and how much does it cost a month?
So Monk would be roughly around a subscription of $10 a month.
Okay. Yeah. So that, I mean, that's reasonable. And I'm thinking through this, right? I haven't seen it, but for example, you said it can help with math. Does that mean that you type in an algebra problem and it essentially solves it for you, or it walks you through it step by step? How does it work?
Yeah, it walks you through step by step. So the
Okay.
idea is, obviously the question can be like, but then would you need a teacher? I would say absolutely yes, because AI cannot replace a human being. But somebody who is powered with AI will replace you. That's the way it is. So basically, what we are saying is that Monk, what would Monk do is it actually would give us a lot of leads. It actually would tell us that this particular person actually needs help, and then we reach out to them and say that, look, it's a tactical tool. It will tell you
Mm,
that this is how it is. But for example, let's look at a particular topic, say Pythagoras theorem. Now, obviously, in Pythagoras theorem, it's very simple, where we say that the square of the hypotenuse in a right angle triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. And there's a problem. You put it in Monk, Monk will tell you the problem. But the concept, how it came in, how did Pythagoras do it? In order to learn that, you need a teacher, you need a coach, a
yeah.
good teacher who would actually tell you to. So Monk is more like a tactical tool. It's more like, oh, I need to do it. I don't have somebody. Let me just see what Monk says, and then I learn. But in order to clear the concepts, whether it is science concepts or music concepts, arts concepts, you actually need a good teacher. So you cannot replace with any tool. And if you look at Khan Go today, I've been studying it. They're saying the same thing. It's kind of like a tool which will help teachers, which will help students, but you can't replace that. So that's where
Yeah.
I would like to be in, because I would rather have something of our own rather than somebody going to some other person's tool and kind of like
It,
getting that.
it makes sense. And so if I'm understanding correctly, will you could use the data essentially to recommend coaches or say,
Of
hey,
course.
yeah, okay. No, I think that's the truth. So it's complementary. And so you see that growing with Meet My Coach and Monk kind of grow hand in hand, and people are coming to you for coaching services which are live. Monk complements that and they grow in tandem. Is that fair?
Yeah, and one of the things that happens is MeetMy.Coach actually focuses. See, our primary focus has always been helping immigrant families. So
Mm-hmm.
the markets that we focus on is primarily in the US, Canada, where there are a lot of immigrants for MeetMy.Coach. That's always and
Yeah.
will be the primary market, because I'm an immigrant. I'm an Asian immigrant, and that's how I felt the pain. I had the challenge. I found out other people have the problem. We created this. Monk, on the other hand, is a bit different. Monk it can go to market, any market. It's
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
necessary that it will be focusing only on the immigrant market. It can go to India, or it can go to China, because one of the things that happens is in China, online learning is prohibited right now. There are no private players who can actually provide online learning tools in China. It's stopped. It's banned.
Mm-hmm.
There are only government institutions who can provide. But these kind of apps can actually help, because they're not essentially learning tools. They're tools kind of like generative AI tools, which are kind of like helping those students, more tactical. So you can go to, so one of the differences of that is it's not only focused on immigrant communities.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that's a good distinction. Um, okay. No, I think that really clarifies it. And I know you've kind of established what your goals are, but what is the end goal with both of these ventures? Is it acquisition or is it growing it to a certain valuation, just creating profitability? What do you think in terms of that?
Well, it's a good question. Actually, I think it's a bit too early, because um, Meet My Coach is 1 year old, Monk is 1 day old. So both of them
Okay.
are.
Okay.
I've got two babies now, which are like very, very, very small, but growing strong and healthy. So maybe 1 or 2 years down the line, we'll think of which career path the babies are going to choose. But yeah, I mean, primarily, I would say that my my dream is to obviously go and get listed, but that doesn't mean
Mhm.
that I'm not open to acquisitions. So if I'm getting good offers in terms of acquisitions and people like it, then yeah, I mean, like I go with an open mind. But obviously, I would like to get. As of now, my aim is, yeah, maybe someday we're gonna get listed, probably where some of the big guys are, like Chegg and all those guys. So I might go and list it in Nasdaq or something like that. I can dream
Okay.
of that.
Hey.
Um,
Yeah. That would be the dream, right? It's
Yeah, I
public
mean, like
company.
we can, but at the same time, I mean, like I'm pretty open on the fact that if somebody is looking at acquisitions, and we feel that yes, this is a good deal for us, and the product and the organization would continue to thrive under them, then yeah, we would definitely look into that as well.
Okay. And then maybe we could pivot a little bit, and I'm just curious, and I think we've talked about it a bit, but maybe you can go into more detail about your why and why you're doing this and why you're choosing this area specifically, coaching, and specifically immigrant families and children.
No, but basically the thing is that it all started, as I said, it all started accidentally as a problem or a challenge which I face. So I am an overseas Indian immigrant in Australia, first generation immigrant. I've been living here for 10 years. I lived in the US earlier for close to 5 years and all that. So this is something which is the problem which I faced. And I wanted to find out whether this is just a problem locally only in Melbourne, in Australia, or is it kind of like faced by immigrant families
Hmm.
all over the world. And I found out that this is a challenge, this is a problem which other immigrant parents also are facing. So I said that why not fix it, given the fact that I am a computer engineer and I did my MBA, I understand. So kind of like the aim was to solve the problem. I never thought of that, okay, I'm going to kind of like make a fantastic tool and I'm going to be a billionaire or something like that. It never struck me. In fact, my first customer was from Houston in the US. And when the
Hmm.
parent actually asked me that, how much do you charge? I actually told her honestly, I don't know. I don't even know because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know how much to charge
yeah.
you because I mean like then she said, okay, I'm gonna give you say about $8 an hour. Is that okay with you? I said, yeah, whatever you feel like. I mean like because honestly speaking, I never thought about that because I'm not a kind of like a businessman who have been doing business for a long time and I know okay I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I'm a father. I'm a parent and who comes from other side of the table where the teacher is. So I understand the need of my son. I
Hmm.
want to know that where exactly and find the right teacher at an optimal cost. And if there's some credentials, then you can get credentials. So just imagine like you walk into some of these, most of the overseas Indians or overseas Asians, if you walk into their home, you see that they're the parents are really ambitious. They really
Yeah,
they have aspirations. They all want their kids to go to Ivy League and good places and stuff like that. But they also want their kids to learn something about their culture. So if you see that you walk into somebody's drawing room and then of overseas and overseas Indian home, and then you'll see, oh, okay, you have a certificate of Yale or Harvard, but next to that, you also have a certificate of some of the Indian music or Indian art certifications, like say Sangeet Kala Academy and stuff like that. Then they would like to have it both because they want their kids to be kind of like having a balanced education, not just about the academics, but also about the non-academics. So
yeah.
that's where basically where it is going, and people are liking it. So to answer your
No,
question, yeah, I mean, it all started accidentally to solve a problem.
yeah, and I think that makes sense, right? I think that's what all entrepreneurs are trying to do, or help people serve a certain niche or customer. And I think you're doing that. And you've mentioned this a few times, being an accidental entrepreneur. So I think you said you're a little over a year in, correct? And I'm just curious if you ever regret going into business on your own and becoming a founder.
That's a good question. See, if you are a bootstrapped kind of a person, then there are challenges almost every day. So basically, primarily in terms of how much you're going to spend and how much you're going to earn. But honestly speaking, I don't regret because it's been a year and it's been a fantastic journey. Because when I got my first sale, as I said, that this lady from Houston actually paid me for $8 an hour. She paid me 3 months kind of like worth of money. I was actually thrilled because this is for the first time I'm kind of like actually I got paid for a particular
Yeah.
business that I'm setting up. Now I've been working for 20 years and I've worked in a lot of good marquee brands and companies both in the US and as well as in Australia. One of the things that I have learned is there are two options in life. Do you want to be a brick on the wall or do you want to create your own wall? Typically what happens is when you are in a service, when you are paid as a salary, whether you're a CEO or whether you're just like an engineer, at the end of the day, you're just a brick on the wall. Somebody has built
Hmm.
that wall, and somebody is using your talent. Obviously, you're getting paid for it, no doubt about it, and basically to build his own wall or his own palace. Now, after 20 years of doing that, when this happened suddenly, and I'm actually building my small wall, maybe it's just a little bit of small fence that I'm building, but the thrill is completely that freedom, that thrill of doing something, helping people, and then actually getting rewarded. Somebody is actually paying for that service is kind of like a feeling which you will never one can never have once one is not if you're not delving into entrepreneurship. I mean, I might fail tomorrow. Tomorrow, I might people might say that yeah, okay. I mean, it was a good platform, but AI is coming in. We may robotics is coming in, so this might go in for a toss. This might end. I would happily close down and get back to something that I've been doing, working as
Yeah.
probably as a. But the thing is that at least I'm taking a chance. So if you don't dive into the water, you never learn how to swim. So that's the kind of thing that has happened. So honestly speaking, no, I've not regretted. But it's a very hard thing. So you got to balance stuff. You got to balance because you're also talking like I'm talking to you in a different time zone. I'm also have an
Yeah.
India team which is in a different time zone. So it's kind of like it's
It's
tough,
tough. Yeah.
but so yeah, I mean like that's it is like I've come a year now. I don't want to go back and,
Yeah.
keep fighting.
I think I could see how it'd be hard to go back, but I think you made a good point. I mean, if you do truly fail, you can always go back. I think there'll always be an engineering job or a corporate position that
Yeah.
you can go back to. And I think right, you will have learned so much and so many skills from what you've done. It can only help you. My next question: you talked about you're building your own wall. How do you think of that in terms of leverage, or what forms of leverage are you using to build your wall, or what's your favorite form of leverage? Sorry, I know there are a few
Um,
different types.
so I don't know what you mean technically by leverage, but the basic thing is
Yeah,
that I
I could
am like sorry.
I could clarify really quick. So you can leverage labor, capital, other people's money, code, or media content.
Okay. So one of the things that have always been with me is I first get to my hands dirty and then kind of like tell others to do it. So I'm pretty kind of like very involved kind of person. And when I started this and I started talking to people, I told them the team that I have about 12 to 13 people, including my co-founder. I told them that look, I can't promise you a lot of salaries. I can't kind of like promise you a lot of money, but go back after talking to me, think about it. And this is a chance, probably kind of like which may not come again, where you are becoming a founding member of something. There'll be a lot of hardships, there'll be a lot of sacrifices that we have to do. But at the end of the day, after 2 generations, your grandson or your son might be proud of you saying that at least my dad tried and to build something. So that's where it is. I
Hmm.
mean, like that's how I kind of like I tell people that you're gonna spend your life. Starts me. I've been in industry for 20 years. You're gonna spend your entire work life, so 20 years, 30 years, 35 years. At the end of the day, you're gonna get a package, your 401k and all that. But then what? People
Yeah,
forget.
yeah,
Time will
yeah,
pass by, but people won't forget if you create a brand and that brand is kind of like there even long time after you're gone. At least people will know that this guy did it, this guy tried. So let's try it. That's what it is. So I leverage basically. That's how I got my team, and my team is also determined that yeah, okay, let's give it some time and see. See if we fail, we fail. We go back to our own old work, but at least we try. It's first thing. In terms of leveraging money, it's all bootstrapped. I save every penny, whatever I
hmm
earn through my other consulting engagements and stuff like that, or my savings. I haven't taken a single dollar from anybody till now. Basically,
yeah,
why? The reason is I really wanted to see first whether it works. I mean, if you are an investor, or for example, if I were an investor and I would like to invest, I would like to see whether the business runs or not. And all these numbers like valuations and all this don't matter. At the end of the day, if I'm doing value, giving value to the customer, then I think that the business has been successful. And that's what we've been doing. So that's the in terms of leveraging money. But yeah, definitely after a certain point of time, now that it's been a year, I would be looking for at least getting some amount of money in terms of seed funding. largely because of the fact because we are slowly getting into more tech stuff, AI or some of the other
Mhm.
things. And because I have only one developer, so I just have the IT team is actually me and their other guy. That's it. So
Yeah,
we would
yeah.
like to grow that. We would like to
Mhm.
grow that and slowly get into some of the other, because as I said that I want to make it an universal. Universal means I want to get into markets which are non-English speaking, like Latin America or
Mhm.
Europe, where English may not be the only language. So how we can build those things. So that's leveraging money, leveraging technology. We use technology in the sense that we have our platform, which is back end is AWS, and front end it's all customized site in written in React Java. So, but we write our own code. We don't use no code platforms. We don't use other people's code. We always write our own code because no matter
Got it.
how difficult it is, there's a lot of learning in that, and it's kind of like customized. So we have the control. So that's been the journey so far to answer your question.
Yeah. No, I think that's interesting. I think you've done a good job at using all those different forms of leverage to get you where you are today. And then can we maybe go back to the seed round? What are you hoping to raise, or do you know that at this point?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like trying to raise a certain amount of money, of course, based on the valuation of the company. So I'm trying to raise somewhere between about $500,000, close to half a million, or about 1 million on a valuation of around $3 million. So roughly that gives a stake of around 17% stake to the investor
Okay.
at a seed level.
Um, so maybe we can kind of just pivot to anybody else in the audience that's thinking about taking that journey as an entrepreneur or founder. What advice, now that you're a year in and I'm sure you've had some trials and tribulations, what advice would you give someone that wants to start their own business?
One, it's never late to start. Some people think,
Mhm.
oh, I didn't start when I was in college, and I was like, that I would have got a better runway. Nothing like that, because when you're in college, you don't know a lot of things, and when you start late, so just like the first mover advantage is there, those people who are entering late into the market, they also have an advantage. So there's never too late. That's the first thing. The second thing is I would definitely say get into a business which you know rather than something which is totally different. For example, I love cooking. I love food. I love eating. I said that. I miss IHOP.
Mhm.
I told you. I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
love.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm going to open a pancake parlor. I'm going to open a pancake shop tomorrow because I
Mhm.
don't know anything about that business, honestly speaking, except the fact that I love eating.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
yeah,
get
yeah.
into a so get into a business which you know, something which basically you have been through or your family has been through, and the best way to do this is basically to learn the skills. So there are a lot of people. I encourage people first to basically go in, get your college degree, and then probably get into a job and learn the tricks. Everybody has their own skills, and some people like accounting, some people like computers, others like art subjects. So once you have learned that particular skill, try to find the gaps in that. I can tell you that there are hundreds of gaps. I mean, one of the best things to do is waking up in the morning, from brushing your teeth, going to bed. Look at every activity that you're doing, and at every juncture, I'm sure you're going to find some kind of a gap is there, which people have not seen it before. And
Mhm.
then kind of go through it, try it, see, do a bit of a pilot, listen to people, do a lot of research to see whether this is working or not. For example, I'm brushing my teeth, and I might think of how about an automatic toothbrush, but it's always there in the market. So, but is there an
Yeah.
automatic shaver or a shaving cream or a razor? Maybe not, or something else. So that kind of like helps. So definitely that's something which I would advise people to be in. And then, yeah, you got to have one word, I would say, that is grit. Grit. There's a famous movie called Grit, and I
Mhm.
watch a lot of movies, so I get inspired
Okay.
by those movies as well. So if you have the grit, go for it. Don't worry about what's gonna happen. If you fail, at least people will say you tried, and if you win,
Yeah.
well,
Then you win.
you will.
Yeah. So, it's kind of a random question, but you said you really enjoy movies. What's your number one all time favorite movie?
I can't mention one. There's so many of them.
Okay, okay,
But I
fair
would.
enough.
Some of them are. I get usually inspired by movies or people doing something against their odds. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I like Richard Attenborough's Gandhi. I like. There's a there's a movie called Flight of the Phoenix, where some people get stuck in the Gobi Desert and they fix a plane and they come out of that. Um, I like Coach Carter. I like those
Mm,
sport
yeah.
movies in America. They're really nice. Then what was it? Kevin Costner and Sean Connery one, Untouchables, and but of all of them, of the recent ones, I like Kung Fu Panda because the dialogues are really nice in Kung Fu Panda. There's these things like they say that there are no accidents in life, and then don't worry about you know um, yesterday is gone, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. It's a present. That's why it's called present.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
those are some of the things which really, and then finally when the first part when they find the dragon's call and they say there's nothing, yeah, it's a self confidence. It's your confidence that there's nothing big in life. So basically, if you have the confidence, go for it. And of course, Star Wars
Yeah.
trilogy and all those things. So you
Okay.
name it. I mean, like I've seen a lot. I mean, I really get, but good movies, definitely yes. Something like I don't generally go for all those Marvel type things. I love the ones which are more realistic. Like the last realistic, really good realistic Hollywood movie I saw was Dark Waters, Mark Ruffalo, which was
Mm-hmm.
about Teflon. How Teflon, in fact, after seeing that movie, we have stopped using Teflon in our frying pans. So it's a true story. You can see it also. It's a Mark Ruffalo. It's about how Teflon is dangerous. It causes cancer. Dark
Okay.
Waters.
Yeah. I'll have to check
You
that
should
out.
see that. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
see
yeah.
that. Yeah.
No, those are some good recommendations, but I mean, it sounds like a good movie should teach you something, right? So
It does. It
that's.
does. So it's something like after seeing that for 10 minutes, it should let you think that wow, that was nice. That was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hundred
And the good
percent.
thing about Hollywood is they really venture into a lot of things. I mean, Indian movies, the like Bollywood, even they're also trying to do that now instead of the usual song and dance kind of thing, because the taste of audience have changed. They want people to think realistically also and come up with things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, those are the movies I like.
Well, very nice. Yeah. Well, hey, just to maybe kind of round us out here, I think you provided some good insight into what you're doing and some great advice for the audience. But maybe to close, I'll give you the floor. Where can people find you? Meet my coach, Monk, etc. Anything you want to close with?
No, I mean, like, where people can find me. Well, I have my LinkedIn profile, I have my email ID, my WhatsApp number. I'm always open to conversations with people. Where I would like to close is, uh, I mean, like, we're just beginning. We're seeing a dawn of new things that are happening. Every generation has its wave. When I started in college, it was the IT services wave, the Y2K stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the wave. That was kind of like the dot com. The dot com bubble happened. Then came the GFC and IT services. That was another wave. Now is the wave of AI and artificial intelligence, robotics. So if you are kind of like, if you're thinking of doing something, you must keep an eye on the macro level as well. Where is the next wave? And
Yeah.
basically, if you want to ride on that wave, that's the way. Because what will happen is the wave will come and the wave will go. If you miss that wave, nothing wrong in that. You learn a lot of things and wait for the next wave. But every generation has its wave, so you kind of like you got to keep your ears open and do it. So
Wait,
that's
eh,
basically it.
yeah, well, maybe really
Yeah,
quick. Where do you think we are on the AI wave? Are we at the very bottom, or is the wave
we're
about
just scratching
to
the
break?
we're just scratching the surface. We're just scratching the
Okay.
surface.
Yeah.
We ourselves, I think, some of the even I'm nothing. Some of the PhDs and some of the great guys, even they don't know where we are and where we're gonna go. So it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like it's probably like the Oppenheimer moment right now. So how we're gonna do
Yeah.
it, where it's gonna go is no one knows yet. But there would be opportunities. There would be definitely a lot of opportunities to work. and help people in that, whether it is in healthcare, whether it is in finance, education, literacy. Um, One of the things is climate change. So I think there are a lot of good things which can, but at the same time there can be not so good things also. So you have to be very careful. It's like
Hmm.
how you use it. So yeah, so that's something. So every generation has its wave. Wait for it, see the opportunity, and if you want to go for it, go for it. That, I mean, obviously, if you are, as I said, that if you are service minded and if you love to do job and you want to grow in that path, there's nothing wrong in that. I mean, it's just my opinion. I mean, like, you want to become the CEO or you become something, oh, be happy to do that. But
Hmm.
to me, it was a bit different. To me, it's like you got to have your own wall. You got to build your own wall. It's
Yeah.
something so that when you're gone, at least your next generation can tell. At least you tried.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Ownership, right? You own something. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that message. So, hey, again, I want to thank you for taking the time. I'll put all your info in the description to your companies, to your LinkedIn profile, and yeah, hey, enjoy your Saturday morning in Australia.
Thank you so much. I once again apologize. I got a bit late, and Connor, it was so nice. You know, when I talk to people from the US, it's so nostalgic, and like
Okay, very
I
cool.
can literally because you're from Reno in Nevada, and I went to Nevada. I went to the Grand Canyon, and I
Hmm.
can visualize the Eagle Point and all those things which I had seen. So yeah, I mean, if I'm ever in the US, obviously, I mean, I can't, but I'm Australian citizen. I can walk into US anytime, and
Yeah,
definitely keep in touch. And I'll come down and say hi. It's really nice. It feels great.
yeah, that would be great. Let's do it. Let's. I'll see you in Las Vegas. There you go.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thanks, Anirban.
Thank you so